Okay, guys, welcome. This is Premier Chess Fall 2020 Adult Intermediate class, week 6. This is group 2, and we're going to be discussing all about pawns, how to use pawns for defense, for attack, pawn strategy, usually in the middle game. We're going to focus on here. So, all right, so let's see. Let me just go over some basic things. So, there's a quote by Andre Philidor, French composer and chess player. In 1749, he said, "Pawns are the soul of chess." What do you think he meant by that?
And I've actually heard that phrase before many times, actually, but basically he says that pawns are very important. Pawns, determine the course of game. Pawns, for example, there's so as in people, and there's so as in the eternal Christian, so as in something was in you that after your body dies, it still lives on within you. So basically, pawns are like the crucial things, are like, just like how your soul allows you to be alive and allows you to be you,
Uh-huh.
determine the game of chess, and are like the spiritual, or like the inner workings of the board. Like, even though they're slow and they don't move that fast compared to a bishop,
Mm-hmm.
even slower than a knight, they are the most important, they are more important than any other piece on the board.
Okay. So we heard from Yuan. That's what you're
Jim.
saying, Jim.
Yes.
Okay, Jim. We heard from Jim. So now let me hear from someone else. What is your ideas of what a pawn can do? So can you guys unmute yourselves? You can unmute yourself if you want.
Yeah, well, I think that what he meant by this is, basically pawns, your pawn structure really governs how you're going to play in most positions, depending on uh, how your pawn chains point, which way they point, and the squares they control, which will govern what breaks you're going to be playing for and against. So uh, the way that your pawn structure is really determines how you're going to play the game.
Yeah, that's a really good definition as well. So when he says pawns are the soul of chess, actually I'll say another quote and then I'll go into explanation. So this is a quote by Emanuel Lasker. Everybody know who Emanuel Lasker is?
World champion for 27 years.
Excellent. Yeah, I believe the longest world champion reign.
Well,
Yeah.
and also most influential player, during this time, but most influential player that led up to modern day moves, because although his games weren't that great today, however, a lot of his games can still happen today. People often use Morphe or the Immortal game, but most Morphe games, these were poor rated players. But when it comes to people like Lasker and Steinitz, especially with Lasker, he played games that you could play even today.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, he was very very
How could I play Lasker moves
deep
playing,
and say again?
like, the phrase playing the moves of a GM or playing the moves of a person? Like,
Yeah.
like, it's become a cliche, but what does it mean to say you're playing the moves of Lasker, or what we're doing is the ideals of Lasker? We're playing like Lasker. I don't get it.
well, let me explain a little bit about. Yeah, so he was the second world champion, 27 years reign as the world champion. He was also a philosopher and a mathematician, and he wrote a few books. And he was a very eloquent writer as well. I don't know if you guys have read any of his books, but his writing style is very poetic almost. I really enjoy his writing style. So he said, quote, "The pawn being much more stationary than the pieces is an element of the structure. The way the array of pawns is placed determines the character of a position and hence also the plan appropriate to it." So, yeah, so Peter, the way you said that was very accurate, very similar to what Lasker is saying in the sense that your depending on how your pawns are set up and the fact that they can be easily blocked really determines the activity or inactivity of your pieces and that of your opponent, right? So you should always be very careful about moving pawns. Why? Also, because every pawn move creates what?
Holes, weaknesses.
Weaknesses. Every pawn move creates a weakness. Why does it create a weakness? Because pawns cannot move backwards, right? The only piece that cannot move backwards. Therefore, every pawn move you can say is pretty permanent,
Committed.
semi-permanent, right? So you got to be very careful when you move pawns forward that you do so with care, and that your pawns are not just going to be given away for no reason, right? Because every pawn is
It's committal, basically.
yeah, very committal. Every pawn is a potential queen. So it's true that pawns can be sacrificed like any other piece for good reason, but pawns can be very powerful. And I think a lot of people who just get into chess, especially beginners, they underestimate the power of pawns because they are so small and weak, and people think they're insignificant. We have 8 pawns, right? There must be worth nothing. But no, pawns can be very powerful in their own right. So there's 3 principles that we're going to kind of discuss here today in this lecture. So the first one is use your pawns to fix your opponent's pawns, right? To prevent the mobility of your opponent's pawns, or from them reaching squares that you wouldn't want them to reach. Another one is using your pawns to take away squares from the enemy pieces, right? So controlling squares that are diagonally forward, left, and right from each of your pawns can remove squares from your enemy pieces, right? Hindering their movement, their mobility. And the third principle would be use your pawns as sacrificial lambs to open scope for long-range pieces, right? So pawns can not only be useful in the sense of restricting your opponent's movement, but can also be useful in the sense of, at the proper moment, to be sacrificed to improve the scope of your own pieces, right? So very, very good principles to keep in mind. So given all that,
excuse me, Danilo. It's
Yeah.
not just people. When you mean by long range pieces, I understand. It's not just long range pieces, but any pieces in general, even the king and the knight. Because a good example is that game between Steinitz and von Bartelen, where he's like, "What the heck? Like this knight, this pawn." Okay, I mean knights can't be blocked, but whenever a pawn is on a square or a piece on a square, the knight can't move onto it. That's the only time a knight is blocked. But what happens with Steinitz is he played d5 because he's like, "I'm clearing this square for my knight,"
Right. It could be a clearance move as well. All right, so let's look at the first game. So this is a game between Van der Weel versus Sirwan, Yasser Sirwan in Baden, 1980. Okay, these are 2 grandmasters. So it's white to move. Okay, black to move. So black to move. Sirwan is black. What is the best move for black in this position? Best move for black.
C5.
C5. Let's look at C5. I think that's kind of that's probably actually helping white. So the problem, white's problem, is that these pawns are kind of blocking his pieces, right? Blocking the knight, blocking this knight coming to d4 or f4, blocking the bishop coming to f4. So any exchanges, I think, would help the mobility of white's pieces. So
I didn't think about that because normally in a lot of the positions was
knight d5
on c6 and e6. These breaks are like good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, sometimes they're good too. Okay, so Peter, what'd you say?
knight d5.
Knight d5. All right, let's see knight d5. I'm thinking not such a good move. Why? Why do you guys think not such a good move?
C4.
Yeah, so white can kind of stake out more control in the center with tempo, right? Pushing the knight away. Knight d5 would be a good move if he can't be kicked away. But since he can be kicked away, so we want something a little stronger. So anyone else?
See, I would castle in this position, but maybe that's too slow. I just don't like the idea of the e file potentially being pried open by a move like advancing the f pawn to f5. Trying to consider like what is my opponent going to do would kind of drive what I do. So I would probably castle just to get out of the attack, but maybe there's another threat here I'm not seeing.
Okay, so castle. Let's look at castle. So if castling, now f5 is a nice freeing move for white, increasing the scope of his pieces, and the knight is ready to jump on to f5. Beautiful square for the knight. So the question is, we don't want to allow white to have a freeing move, right? So that's the question. So what should we do about that?
Sometimes it's the better way is that the best defense is a counter attack. So white tries to free out. Another way is, though the king might be in the center, we might play h5 because, since our king hasn't committed yet, we can play h5 and try to see if we could attack.
Okay, so let's see. H5. Okay. So you're threatening to come here and bring the pawn down. So again, I'd say here best would be F5. Maybe we can come here, take. Black
Yeah, you,
is kind of getting shaky. If he takes here, we got a queen check here. If he takes with the queen, the knight can jump here, threatening. Now we're threatening a fork.
I
So
see.
very strong knight there. So yeah. So what else? Anyone else?
I would move the queen to get be able to develop the queen knight. So either E7 or C7.
Hold on, let me go back.
maybe C7 because you don't really want to get in front of the king. I don't know.
So wait. So something moves to C7.
Queen C7, then you can push E5 if he pushes F5.
Oh, queen C7. Still he can still do it. Why not?
And you push E5 then.
You can do E5. Opening up the center might not be a good idea. I think actually, again, you're helping white, freeing up his pieces by getting rid of all these pawns. But also, your king is not castled, so that might be a little dangerous opening up the center, right? So, all right. So,
Well,
I originally thought G6, but I thought it would be a little bit too weakening. But
okay. So
Jack,
let's look at G6.
Jack made a good point that we have a dark square bishop, so it's not too weakening.
Right. So, okay. So
Queen is back
G6.
on
So remember,
G7.
G6 was actually the move played in the game. G6, and
Ah.
although it does look like this dark square is very weak, it's kind of difficult for white to take advantage. He could even sacrifice his pawn, here, and if he tries to take control, maybe we come here and we castle the opposite way. Right, or maybe we got to do something about this first, but yeah, we can always run the opposite way. So, so that sacrifice might not really do white any good. So G6 is a beautiful move, a beautiful prophylactic move, preventing F5, making F5.
And you don't have to take with the E pawn. You could also take with the G pawn too.
You could take with the G pawn, open up the G file for the rook. That's also a nice move. And then castle queen side, bring the other rook over. So yeah, so so in this case, F5 would not necessarily be the best idea. So yeah, very, very good hindering move that black does. So now white has a problem, right? He wants to play F5 to free up his bishop, but now he can't. So now he tries to go the opposite way. He goes B3. Right, B3, try to bring the bishop out here or maybe here on the long diagonal, right? Maybe push the pawns here and try to open up the center. Okay, so now we have so white develops his knight A6. What do you think is the purpose of knight A6, by the way? Yeah.
If bishop A3, then knight B4, and also you're setting up for castling.
What did you say?
Setting up for castling, yeah.
If bishop A3.
If bishop A3, knight B4.
Well, no, bishop A3 would not be good because.
Oh wait, I'm so silly.
That's okay. It's okay.
He's just setting up for castling alone. There's no other better square.
Yeah, he's setting up for castling, but also this knight can be beautifully rerouted to knight C7 and exert even more control over the center.
You could also gain a tempo by playing knight B4 and then that.
Or you could do that too as well. That's true.
He has to waste a move just moving his queen.
That's true. So yeah. So here's a very important principle that I tell all my students, which is, in my mind, the difference between a beginner and a master is that when we only have one move that we can make at a time, right? So we want to maximize the utility of that move. We want to make it very, very useful, very productive, right? And when you see grandmasters make their moves, even if they're being attacked, when they defend, they're sometimes attacking, right? So it's very important to accomplish multiple goals with each move, right? So if you can attack and defend at the same time, that's great. And in this case, if you can move and your goal is to go to D5, if you can go to B4 with tempo, right, then that's even better, right? So always look for ways to accomplish multiple goals with each move. 2 or 3 goals, that would be nice. All right, so go ahead.
If white doesn't do anything, can't you play knight C5? Because after d takes c5, bishop takes c5 check, and you can pick up the knight after knight d4.
Wait, you're saying black is threatening knight c5 here?
Yeah, because after takes bishop takes with check, and
Okay.
knight d4 blocking is the only move that prevent. Oh wait, the queen's
No, no.
The
He can
queen's
move.
protected.
The queen is protected. Right? It's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay. Okay, good. Okay, so knight a6. Okay, next bishop b2. Okay, putting the bishop on the long diagonal, very powerful diagonal. Now he really wants to open up this diagonal, right, and free his bishop. Okay, so bishop e7, right, protecting the knight. He doesn't want to allow any tricks with that would arise from sacrificing the pawn on d5. Okay, so now what do you think best move here for white? What do you think? Oh, it says oh, sorry, I got a text from Evan. He says tell the kids in your class to turn on my stream individually. Oh, he's streaming right now? Is that what you said there?
Yeah,
Yes.
every week he streams, and
Okay.
he likes us turning on the stream.
Okay, I'm watching.
Yeah, you can turn on the stream. All right. So okay, so what do you guys think here?
How do you turn
Um,
on the stream again? There's no link.
There's no link?
I can give you a link.
Yeah, post a link in the chat.
Peter Wheel, the greatest. He's got the
It's true.
He's got the connections.
he's got like 4 different bookmarks of the stream.
I did it first.
How about knight e4 here?
Okay, so knight e4. All right.
The idea is to kind of try to open up that diagonal. You've got
Yeah. I mean, okay, first of all, the first question should be asked is who has a freer game here? Who's more cramped?
black.
Black is more cramped,
White.
right? No, I think black is more cramped. See, white has more control over the center than black does, and actually he's got control over a couple of black's spaces, territory. So white has a little bit more cramped. The queen definitely has more scope than black's queen, and this bishop is about to get a lot of scope. So yeah,
The
so
queen is what more than black's queen? There's some.
Go. Maybe c4.
yeah, the queen has a little bit more the white queen, but yeah, so white has a little bit more advantage in terms of scope. So the thing is, when your opponent is cramped, you don't want to trade pieces, right? You want to keep your opponent as cramped as possible for as long as possible. So this is good. I mean, it does open up the diagonal. It's a possibility, but I don't know. I think I think we can increase the pressure without allowing black to relieve the pressure by trading pieces. So how do we
Okay.
increase?
C4.
Yeah, c4 I think is the best move. That was played in the game.
C4.
So now what is he doing? What is he doing with c4?
Controlling more squares.
Yeah, controlling more squares, and now he's really wants to get in d5, right, and open up the diagonal, right? He really wants to get it badly. So, okay, now we go knight c7. Okay, queen f3. Right now he's preparing to get the rook onto the d file, right, and oppose the queen. Okay, castle. Okay, so now
That was a mistake.
why? You think so? Why?
What?
Why was it a mistake?
Well, I mean, think of it. The dark square bishop is like eyeing on this square, and that there's like more weaknesses around the king side than the queen side. Like if you know a lot of like openings like the winner were, or in a lot of French positions, black would often castle queen side, especially in the Caro-Kann too. There's a lot of positions where even though the queen side may look bad, it's often much safer than the king side because I used to think that opposite castling was more dangerous, but sometimes it's not much safer than if kings are castle on the same side, especially in the French.
Yeah. So it's hard to say general
You know what I'm
rules,
saying?
but here, yeah, the white bishop is kind of menacing. For now, it's kind of held at bay because d5 would be a pawn sacrifice, but it wouldn't really be many tactics yet along the long diagonal. So
What about an attack on with advancing the H pawn, H2, H4, H5?
yeah,
I guess black can, play h5, but
Good.
So
Okay.
now-
So, yeah, that's true. We can kind of try to open up the black position. But I think when you're looking at your position in the middle game, one of the big questions you should ask yourself is, are all my pieces on their superior squares? You know, could I improve the position of any of my pieces? Right.
yeah.
So what do you think? What do you think in White's position? Which of White's pieces could he improve?
His queen
Rook on
rook.
A1.
Well,
Big rook.
the queen is in a pretty good position already.
The rook.
Que-
The queen rook.
The
Okay,
queen
we-
rook. Yeah.
Oh, you mean the A1 rook? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
The A1 rook, definitely. That's a good move. Okay, that's one good move. That's not what he played in the game, but that's also a good move. Rook A to D1. Okay, what's another piece that can be improved? What do
Your
you think?
knight on E2.
Yeah, the knight on E2 completely blocked, right? So it's not doing anything really. So let's reroute the knight, right? So he played
Knight
knight
C1.
C1. Yeah, knight C1, going for this nice square on
Yeah.
E5. That'd be a beautiful knight outpost, right?
Yep.
So now we have knight C to E8. Okay, now this is exerting more pressure, or sorry, more protection on the knight, but also more importantly, he's rerouting the knight to now increase his control over F5 and H5, right? So kind of shut down any possibility for White to attack, right? So it's a very nice move here. Knight C8. Okay.
Knight E8.
And now knight D3, heading for E5. Let's see here. Yeah. Who said that? Peter. Yeah, Peter says fianchettoing the knight. Yes. You don't see that. You don't see that too often, but yeah. Fianchettoing the knight. Beautiful. So now the knight is both these knights are having a really good time controlling these squares very powerfully. Knight E5, Queen C7. Okay, now H3. Okay, Rook A to D8. So now Black plays Rook A to D8. Now that's a good and it's a logical move, right? Because the Rook here is not doing anything, right? So we're bringing here to the half open D file, exerting control onto D4. But there's actually a better move that could have been played, and the author actually gave this move a dubious annotation. So what do you think is a stronger move than Rook A to D8? Say again?
Knight F5.
Okay, Knight F5 might be no, I think that's definitely helping Black. Why? Now he can take if he does take, now Black has a beautiful outpost on E4, which can never be kicked away, and the white knight will be kicked away very soon. Right? So I think that's helping Black actually.
Oh, so you're saying my move actually helps Black?
I think knight F5 helps Black. Yeah, definitely.
You mean white, I think.
I mean, wait, no, knight F5.
Well, it does help.
Helps white.
Yeah, it
Oh,
helps.
oh, sorry. I mean, taking the knight would help.
Oh.
Taking the knight would help Black. Yeah. So we wouldn't want to take the knight.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. So yeah, it's a good idea, but there's something he wants to do first. What do you think?
Knight D7.
Knight D7. Okay. I mean, that's fine. Nothing really wrong with that one. There's another move that's a good possibility. What do you think?
How about moving the C5?
C5.
This is Black moving, right?
Oh, right. Sorry. Black move. Yeah, C5. Okay, C5. I think that's helping White because now we're helping him to open up the diagonal.
Yeah, but that diagonal where the white king is on is also weak. You know, the
True.
G,
Takes. He's gonna escape here.
yeah.
I think this bishop becomes awakened now. So I think now White's position is becoming dangerous. So
Okay.
yeah, I don't think we want to open up that diagonal.
How about
We could
D-
wait a minute. What about one of the knights to h5? Like either like
That's
the
what I said in chat.
Oh, you said that? Oh, sorry about that. Let me check the chat. Who's that? Oh, knight G to H5. Okay. So knight G to H5. Let's see. Yeah, so okay. Actually, I think that helps White. How does that help White? What do you think? What's a good counter for that?
Maybe taking followed by d5.
Okay, take the knight. And how does Black recapture?
knight.
Knight. Okay, now.
d5.
Okay, D5 is good. I think that gives Black too much counterplay though. So we don't want to give our opponent counterplay when we're attacking. So I think there's a better move than D5. What do you think?
G5
G4.
or
G4.
G4 rather?
G4, yeah, definitely. Very nice move. Gaining space and yeah, White's position is becoming very menacing after that. So yeah, so now White is very comfortable, right? So we need a better move than knight G H5. What do you think?
What about B5?
B5. I mean, it hangs this pawn for one.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, not that strong. What do you think? Anybody else? What do you think? Strong move for White. Oh, sorry, for Black. Sorry. You want a hint? Everybody want a hint?
What about A5?
A5.
I was just thinking
Okay.
how to undermine White's pawn structure. That's what I was.
Okay, it's a good idea. There's a little bit more. I mean, not much is happening here. Like most of the pieces are here on the king side, right? So yeah. So I think we should focus our efforts there.
Okay.
So yeah.
Wait a minute. What about like earlier, as I stated, like you said, focus on the king side and the theme is pawn. So I was going to think of h5.
H5 for Black. Yes, H5 is the move that the author said was much stronger than Rook AD8. And
Yeah,
he
I don't
should
get
have
this.
played.
It's counterintuitive. It's something that most amateurs don't play because when you are like castled, you just don't move the h pawn or move.
Right. So the question is why H5? Because the question is why H5, and I think the answer is why did White play H3? Why do you think White played H3?
He wants to play h3 g4 like
Yeah,
in
he's preparing G4. So Black is thinking, I want to prevent G4, right? So again, another prophylactic pawn move, right? Preventing your opponent from accomplishing his plan, right? So here, this is the move that he wished he could play, but instead he played Rook AD8. All right, so let's continue. Rook AD8 and Rook AD1, two completely logical moves. So for Rook AD8, Black gives this move as dubious, and then for Rook AD1, he gives this move as a mistake. So what do you think he thought that White should have played here instead of Rook AD1? What do you think?
Knight e2.
Yes, knight e2. Why?
Move the knight out of the knight's in the way of the pawn. So
Exactly. Now the pawn is free. This is his idea. He wants to gain space on the king side, and also that would remove the squares from the G7 knight, right? So that'd be the very nice restricting move. So he didn't do that. He opposed the rook, and now Black comes to his senses and plays H5, and now White plays knight E2, but it's too late, right? He wants to play G4. He wants to get it in. So what does Black play? What does black play here? What do you think?
I mean, if you look at the old adage of attack on the side can be met with an attack in the center, play c5.
Okay, c5. Again, I think it's kind of okay. You're improving the bishop. You're improving your bishop, good, but you're also opening up this bishop. So I don't think that's necessary yet.
What about h4?
H4. Yeah.
Yeah, h4. So now h4 completely clamps down on g3, making g4 impossible, because then en passant would leave white with two isolated pawns, right? Horrible weaknesses. So yeah, h4 is the move that completely controls white's king side and removes this possibility of g4. Very important move. Okay, so now we have knight g4. Maybe he's trying to open up his bishop. Okay. So now we have knight f2 h5. All right, very nice. So now knight f to h5, very nice move, increasing the control over g3, a vice-like grip, and also putting pressure onto f4. Okay. Queen c3. Queen h7. Why does he do that? He doesn't want, it seems like he doesn't want to allow any kind of tricks associated with knight h6, right? Check. Even though for now the f pawn is protected by the rook, but maybe after some exchanges and then the rook comes, maybe this pawn might not be protected, right? So he wants to remove any kind of tricks that might result from that. Okay, so rook f3. Okay, now what do you think? Best move for black here. What do you think?
f5.
f5.
Knight to f5.
Yeah, knight to f5, because now this knight is pretty much dead. Now you're blocking your own knight, right? So
whoopsie.
So you don't want to do that. So yeah, knight f5.
Knight f5.
Yeah, beautiful. Now look at this. Now look how powerful black's control over g3 is. Complete vice-like grip over g3. All right, very nice, very beautiful. Okay, so now we have rook knight e3. Okay, maybe trying to exchange one of those knights. Bishop f6. Now opposing this menacing queen and bishop battery, right? So pinning the pawn, hoping he doesn't ever move it. Okay, knight g5. He comes back around. And does black? You think black allows him to exchange the bishop? Yeah, right.
No.
Definitely not. He's like, my bishop is staying on this diagonal. Okay, so now we have knight e5. This is a mistake. Why is that a mistake?
Now, like, the knights are unimposed, and so you could have used the knights to actually play knight e3 and try to exchange one of the pawns and / protect your king side, but black can move his into the king side.
The pawn can be taken on f4. There's some tactics because of the hanging rook on d1.
Excellent, very good. Yes, this rook is unprotected, right? Very important. You always keep that in mind. Whenever you see unprotected pieces, knights unprotected, rooks unprotected. So, whenever you see tactics, tactics always usually arise when there's unprotected pieces, right? So always got to keep that in mind. So little red flag should go off in your mind whenever you see an unprotected piece. So knight takes f4 is excellent, and there's no time for this knight to do anything, because then the knight captures on e2 with check, royal fork. So that's not good. You don't want that. So yeah. Knight takes f4, and if we take back with the knight, then we have bishop takes, and the rook is pinned, right? The unprotected rook. So very nice win of a pawn, and yeah, it's gonna be pretty devastating after that. So instead, he didn't take with the knight. He took with the rook. Okay. Then we have bishop takes f5, rook to e4, bishop drops back, bishop f6, rook f1, and now what do you think best move here?
I say
I'll
up to this
C5.
five.
Peter says Yasser takes pawns. Yes, he does. Definitely. Okay, what did you say?
C5 now.
C5, excellent. Yes, C5. Now, this diagonal is very weak for white, right? This bishop is pinning
Yeah.
the pawn. You have the knight. You have the knight attacking. You have the pawn attacking. You have the rook attacking, and it's black might be able to even win it. Most likely will. So yeah, very very beautiful position
Yeah.
here. And if you can see, I mean, look at this. Look at these arrows. You see the trajectory that this one of these knights took: a6, c7, e8, g7, h5, f5, and now beautiful controlling the beautiful hole on g3 at the same time as exerting pressure on the pinned d4 pawn. So
It took 5 moves to get there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
yeah. So yeah, knights, and these are kind of like, I guess you can say, like semi-closed positions. Knights are very powerful. So beautiful use of pawns in the sense of prophylaxis and restricting your opponent's movement, and then using your pieces to secure your control over those squares. All right. So any questions? You want me to go on to the next
I was just gonna say that black's threatening, even though he has 4 attacking, if white has 4 defending, white's knight cannot take because black will be able to.
Oh,
move
that's
his
true. That's
knight
true.
Down to G3.
That's true.
Mhm.
Maybe he takes with the bishop first, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Here I think white did queen d3, but yeah, and the pawn's actually still pinned, right, by the rook. So there's pins all over the place. Beautiful. All right, good. All right, so we got 20 minutes left, so let's do another game. All right. This is again Sirwan. White is Jan Timon, and black is Yasser Sirwan, 1978, Lone Pine. Okay, so Sirwan is black. Black to move. What's the best move here?
Knights on e1 and d1. Very suspicious. I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Knight f5.
Knight f5. Okay, good. That is a nice outpost for the black knight. The problem is he can be kicked away, and that kind of does look like a weakening move for white, right? But I don't think it's a weakening move in this position, because why would I say that it's not a weakening move in this position? Why do you think?
Because black has no light square bishop.
Exactly. Black has no light square bishop to take advantage of this. So this is really pretty fine for for white. So white has nice pawns here, controls the center, and white black really can't do anything to control this diagonal anymore. So this position is pretty nice for white. So yeah. So given that, what is the best move then?
Knight B C6 developing.
Knight B C6. Okay, that's a good logical developing move. Good, but we need a stronger move than that. I mean, that's not a bad move, but yeah, there's a stronger move than that.
Maybe knight g6 because it opens up the bishop. And
Okay, knight G6. Okay, it does open up the bishop. I mean, maybe just pushing something like this, trying to get that in. Maybe you can queen E4, threaten the rook, and also threaten to expand with F5.
Yeah, it's
Maybe
just
a little stronger. What do you think?
I mean, since this theme is about pawns, it may seem counterintuitive, but I'm going to go as in the last game, H5.
H5, yeah, as in the last game. Yeah, H5 was the move played. Why H5?
always.
It helps develop the rook. Like, usually you would castle and develop the rook, but however, the rook is perfect on the H8 square where you could eventually move down and, white basically now, it stops G4 and allows the knight to be F5, but you also, can like use the rook eventually to attack the king.
Yeah. So yeah, the primary reason for h5, the primary reason is to prevent g4, right? He wants to solidify f5 as an outpost for his knight, right? So very powerful, very, very important. When you want to make an outpost for knights, you want to make sure they cannot be kicked away. Very important. So he's preparing knight f5 with h5. Good. Okay, so knight d3. Okay, very nice move, blocking the connected passed pawn with a knight, right? Knights are one of the best ways to block connected passed pawns. Knight f5, and now f4. Oh, okay. He gives this move as a mistake. What do you think? Is this a mistake? I mean,
Yasser's always just saying all his opponent's moves are awful.
right. So what do you think? What do you think? Mistake? I mean, it's kind of like maybe he thinks it's a mistake because he's making his bishop into a bad bishop. Maybe, you know.
Mhm.
All right, so let's continue. Queen b7, knight 1 to f2, knight d7. So now the queen has a nice control over the h1 to a8 diagonal. So, you know, white doesn't want to allow that, so he immediately goes to trade queens, right? Queen e4, queen takes, knight takes. So now what do you think is a good move here? What do you think is a good move for black?
Restricting the bishop by making a move like a5.
A5, excellent. Yes, A5 was the correct answer. Actually, before we go on, so in your regular classes, does Evan do tournaments at the end of each class?
Yeah, he usually does.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
Do you guys
we
want
have
me to?
enough time, but we got like 15 minutes left.
Yeah, I don't usually do a tournament with the adults, but you guys want to do a tournament? I mean, I'm fine with that if you guys want to do that. Does anybody want to do that? Or you want to continue the
I'd
lecture?
rather
All
continue.
right,
rather
continue
I'd
the
rather
lesson.
continue.
Continue
Yeah.
the lecture.
The
Okay.
instructions are helpful.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll
And
continue.
it's also too late to play tournament. We only got 15 minutes left.
Okay. So yeah, so A5 is the correct answer. Why did he play A5?
Bishop is restricted, and also, you know, you could eventually create counterplay on the queen side with that move.
You gotta push those pawns on both sides of the board. Don't play in the center.
You guys ever see those videos by the chess bros, Eric Hansen and
Yeah,
what's the other guy? I forgot
Yes.
the other guy's name. I forgot the guy with the beard. I forgot his name.
I forget his name too.
Yeah, Eric. Yeah, so they're always saying, and also like when they have Yasser Sirwan on the stream, there's like push baby, push, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, pawns, very, very important here. Another prophylactic move. He doesn't want to allow b4, right, to undermine. He doesn't want to allow b4 to undermine his connected passed pawns, right? So a5 is a very important move to solidify his control over the center, right? Very, very important. Good.
Mhm.
G3.
So
Go ahead.
maybe before F4 was bad because white should have played B4.
Let's see. Here.
He would have had
Maybe.
to play A3 first, yeah.
Right, maybe. Yeah, if you play b4, you can take, and I
There's
don't
a
know if
lot of
that's gonna help.
trades,
I don't know if that's gonna help white, because then now you have these two isolated pawns, right?
Mhm.
So it's debatable. It'd be nice to preface that with a3 though.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right.
Okay.
So go on. Okay, so a4, g3, bishop e7, king f2. Okay, getting the king out, activating the king. Knight h6, rerouting the knight. Okay, h3, eliminating g4 from the knight. And now, what do you think here? What do you think good move for black here? What do you think?
I think it's time to start like doing some things where, you know, yeah, let's just play knight b6 up to this point.
Knight b6. Let's see here. Knight b6. Let's see. Hold on.
Okay, so knight b6, rook c1.
Knight b6. I mean, maybe just b3. I'd say.
You
Also,
could also
and
follow that.
and now this pawn, now the c5 pawn is hanging.
Oh, I see.
So yeah.
Okay.
Let's see what else. Somebody said in the chat. No. Okay. Okay.
Knight F5.
Okay. So let's go back. Knight F5. Well, now he can just push with tempo, and now he's gonna kick the knight out.
But he can put the knight on H5.
He could put the
H4.
knight on H5.
H4, yeah.
Now now we can do a little pin. I mean, it's not really
Yeah.
pin, but
Yeah.
yeah. Now white's pieces are starting to get active, right?
Right, right.
Okay, so so Nan Kumar, you have a question about the game?
Yeah. What if A3 is played?
What if what?
Like
Yes,
back when? What if A3?
A3. Oh, A3 right here.
Yeah.
So if A3, hold on, let's say before here. Okay, before H3, let's say if you played A3, what do you think, guys? Good move or bad move?
Bad move, weakens E3 square.
So what's the best? What's a good reply from Black here?
A4.
Yeah, definitely
A4.
A4. Clamp down on B3, prevent B4, or just do it en passant. And now that saddles white with two isolated pawns.
No, actually, it saddles white with one backward pawn and one isolated pawn.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just no good. It's no good.
I
All
don't
right.
know why it's called backwards. It just is. It's funny.
All right, so A4. So who said A4? Who said A4? You
Well-
again, Nan Kumar. So A4. You said A4 in this position? Nan Kumar? You can no.
He's saying
oh,
no.
before. Okay. Or you mean black? You mean black to move A4, right? Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, so A3 would not be good there. Okay. All right, so let's go back. H3. So now what's the best move here? What do you think here?
F5.
F5. Yeah, that was the move played in the game, F5. So now he wants to hopefully maybe push here and open up the G file and start an attack on the G file. So F5 and also preventing G4 from ever being played. Okay, so F5. Now he takes en passant, he takes back, and now we have a beautiful half open file here for the rooks to operate, right? Very nice. Okay, rook A to E1, king F7, king E2. So now putting one of the rooks on the half open file, very logical, very nice. King D1. And now knight F5, increasing pressure on G3. So now rook G1. So now what do you think? Best move for black here.
I think it's time to, as the theme is to, talks about pawns. I think it's now time to play E5 as central break.
Play E5. Let's see. All right. So if we play E5, takes. I mean, the king is going to come probably to E6 and be pretty comfortable. Rook's going to come over. I mean, here, black is pretty good. Black has got a nice position. These central pawns are very powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, couldn't you could also take with the knight too. You don't have to take with pawn. You could take with the knight.
Oh, you mean over here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Take with the knight. You could. I mean, that gives up this knight. Sorry, this pawn. It's possible. It's possible. Kind of is inviting some complications here. It's
Even
possible.
Then you get the knight. Then you've got the rook fork.
But the thing is, actually, you're gonna lose another pawn. That's the thing. Take, and now this pawn drops.
But you get the rook fork.
Right.
We have the rook fork with the other knight.
Oh, we have the rook fork also. Yeah, we have a rook fork. So yeah.
I mean, yeah, but Yasser doesn't give up pawns, so
Yeah. Yeah, so if we take with the knight, yeah, take with the knight. Yeah, he's got this threaten of a rook fork. So if you take here, you're strengthening his center here. Very nice
Mhm.
center.
And this looks dominating for
Yeah,
black.
it's pretty good for black. So okay, so okay, so let's go back. So rook g1. So in the game, Yasser Sirwan played knight b6. Okay, so he's attacking c4, although he's giving up this pawn, but he's attacking c4. All right, so let's see, b3. He goes a4, tries to undermine this pawn, and also tries to open up the a file. So knight d takes c5. A takes b3, A takes b3. So now this rook is very active and threatening to come in the game with power. So now what do you think is a good move here?
I would play rook a1.
Rook a1.
Black.
Okay, rook a1 is a possibility. Maybe let's see, what can he do here? Yeah, maybe you can even do something like this.
Oh, you could trade with the bishop. Okay, that's not gonna
Yeah, you
work.
can trade with the bishop.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want to trade pieces up to this point.
Yeah,
We want to
right.
maintain both rooks on the board. Let's just play rook a2.
Rook a2. All right, logical move, good move. Control the second rank, restrict the movement of the king. Good move.
Mhm.
Here
He
he
could-
go ahead.
I'm sorry. He can win a pawn by taking that knight on c5, and then when white takes back, he can get the g pawn.
True, he could. I mean, let's see, how would we take it? Maybe with a knight, and also this pawn hangs as well,
Oh, yeah.
right? So, and then this pawn is hanging as well. So yeah, so he actually did something similar. He just took this knight immediately.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, the pawn immediately, right? So basically, if you take, and the difference is if you take back, and you take here, now this pawn's not hanging, right? The e6 pawn's not hanging. So it's a big difference. Very nice.
And he keeps his bishop.
Yeah. So yeah, right. And he keeps the bishop. Good. So knight takes g3. So he takes with the rook, trade with the rooks. Bishop takes. Okay. So now, yeah. So it's even actually. It's four pawns and 4 pawns. Okay. Okay. So we're even material. All right. So now white.
I mean, black has an hanging h pawn.
True. Black does have a hanging h pawn. He does. So, all right, let's see what's going to happen with that. F5, e takes F5, knight takes F5. All right, now the knight's got a really nice dominant control over black's king side. Okay, now what black plays D3. Wow, nice move.
Great.
Right? All right, so yeah, open up the scope of the bishop, activating the bishop, and getting the pass pawn even closer. So
And having a couple mate threats as well.
right,
Well,
yeah, maybe even threatening to come down here and
come down here, and after bishop c1, then bishop a3.
Yeah, so let's say bishop c1, not bishop a. Well, maybe bishop a3. Yeah, because if you come up, then you can just bring the bishop back and skewer the rook, right? That's nice. Yeah, that's nice. So yeah, so d3, nice move there. Bishop c3, preventing the rook from coming to a1. Okay, so now we have rook a3, attacking the pawn.
Is there a way to defend?
No.
So yeah, I mean we can go here. I mean we're just gonna. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of trades. Maybe something like this. Maybe.
Takes a
Knight
pawn.
takes e4 looks okay.
Knight takes pawn.
Say again.
Knight takes.
Or you can take the pawn. True, you can take the pawn too. Yeah, good point. Yeah. And this pawn is very dangerous, right? It's so close, and the combination of the rook and the knight are very, very powerful. So king d2, he plays. He drops the pawn. Rook e1.
Couldn't. Oh, right. I thought white could take the pawn on d3, but he could like play. Yeah.
That pin on the bishop looks really tough. So
Yeah. So if he takes the pawn on d3, if he takes the pawn on d3, what can we do?
Play bishop b4.
Bishop B4.
Bishop
yeah.
b4, rook c1, and now what do we do?
Knight, knight a4.
Knight a4, we win the bishop, right? Very nice.
Piling up.
So the pawn is immune to capture. Good. Pawn's immune to capture. So rook a1. Rook a1. Okay, trying to get some activity for his rook. Okay, now we go bishop b4. Delivers a little check. Okay. Actually, let me ask you guys this question. What about again? What about rook c1? Is that a good move?
No way.
Why?
Let's say the fact that one, wait a minute, black can play knight takes c4 check.
Okay, that's one reason. Okay, knight takes c4 check. That's actually, you know what? That's not even the best move because knight takes c4. Now he can take the pawn. Now he's fine because now he's attacking the knight as well. So yeah. Neil.
Rook b2 check.
Okay, rook b2. Okay, that's okay. I mean, he can just again take the pawn and yeah, he's doing fine. There's a much stronger move for black here. What do you guys think?
Wait a minute, rook takes c3 followed by knight a4.
Yes, rook takes e3 and knight a4 wins the rook, and black ends up being a bishop ahead. Very nice. So yeah, rook c1 is a losing move. No good. So he delivers a check, rook a7, and then okay, another check, trying to get some activity. Okay, now he takes the bishop. Best move for black. What is it?
knight takes c4 with check.
Yes, that's very important. What's it called? What's this called? Anybody know?
Intermezzo.
Good, intermezzo or Zwischenzug or in between move. Everybody's familiar with that, right? So knight takes c4, very important move because if you don't play that, you go rook takes b4, you lose your beautiful passed pawn. Okay, so you don't want to do that. So spend a little bit of time. This is very important. When you're playing your games, be very careful of robotic automatic movements, or recaptures, right? Always scan the board before you do an automatic recapture. Scan the board for a little intermezzo or Zwischenzug move, and you may be able to win even more material or improve your position that much more. So knight takes c3, takes the pawn with check. King is forced back. King e1 cannot take the pawn. Now we capture and we maintain our powerful passed pawn.
Black's just completely winning.
Beautiful. Yeah, very nice. Very nice. Yeah. Okay, we're almost done. We're almost done with this game. Okay, so then we have rook d7. Okay, so how do we win? How does black win this game? Okay, give me a few more moves. Black wins this game.
d2 followed by rook b1 check.
d2, and then let's say he goes here.
Ooh.
Just play rook b1, no matter what.
Okay, rook b1. I mean, it probably is winning. Maybe he can even do this.
Wait, rook.
It's not that simple because if he does that, then you just go rook e1 check.
Ah, good. Excellent. Rook e1 check. Yeah, now you're winning. Yeah, good. All right, so yeah, that go ahead.
No, yeah, rook e1 check.
Yeah. All right, so that's one possibility. All right, everyone's telling me it's 9:15. Yeah, it's okay. We're almost done with this game. We're almost done, guys. We're almost done. All right. So I'll just finish up what happened in the game. King e1, rook takes b4, rook d7. Yeah, he played rook b1 check first instead of d2 check. King f2, and now he came back to deliver a check. Now the rook is on the second rank with tempo. Now king g1, d2. Now there's no way to stop the promotion. You have to sacrifice your rook. King cannot come back onto the second rank. You're going to promote with the discovered check, and if the king tries to come back, you just you can do the thing that we said before.
Yeah, excuse me, but playing rook b2 wasn't necessary. You could actually just go back a little bit though. Was rook b2 was like instead of like after rook e1 check king f2, you could still even play like d2, and
yeah. Actually, let's see.
Check is still a tactic anyway.
Right. Yeah, good point. So maybe Yeah, so you can many ways to win this, but yeah. So that's pawns. That's a couple of ways to use your pawns. Hope you guys learn some things about pawns and understand them. I highly recommend Horde, by the way, on Lichess. If you guys ever played that variant, it's an excellent variant to learn about the power of pawns. Okay.
What is Horde variant? And also, at the same time, what's this thing with the whole bearded guy? And is it Chess Bra? Is it on Twitch or YouTube?
He's on both.
On both.
He's on both. Yeah. Yeah. So I definitely recommend you guys play Horde to solidify your knowledge and your understanding of how to use pawns properly. You know, pawns are very powerful when they can be used properly. So okay, great,
After King Two,
great
pawn.
talking to you guys, and hope you guys have a wonderful night. Oh, and I'll email you guys this lecture. I'm gonna post it to the Premier Chess YouTube channel, and I'll email you the lectures. Okay.
guys go to
Bye.
YouTube
Thank
channel?
you.
Really
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Bye.
Bye.
I
Bye.
let me leave.